Part 1. Complete this text. Okay, so here's a joke. A man sitting on the veranda with his wife. One night, when out of the blue he says, I love you, his wife says, was that you or was that the bear talking? The man says, that was me talking to the bear. Maybe you found that funny. I find it hysterical. What makes a joke funny is a question that has visited the human condition. Since we lost our tails and started walking upright, but can scientists tell us today why we laugh? Scott Williams is a cognitive neuroscientist and the author of the book Huh? The Science of When We Laugh and Why? And he joins us from member station KUAR in the Little Rocks, Arkansas. Thanks for being with us, Scott Williams. Thank you very much for having me. Tell me a joke and let's break it down a little bit. Would you? Sure. I should warn you to, as a scientist, I'm not trained very well to tell jokes, but I'll do my best. Alright. So a dog walks in a telegraph office and he says, I want to send a message. And the operator says, sure, what would you like to send? And the dog says, whoop, 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 whoop. And the operator pauses a second and goes, you know, that's only 9. You can send a 10 whoop for free. And the dog replies, but that would make no sense. People never laugh when I tell that joke. I'm giggling here. Thank you. I will then hold it against you if you didn't. Alright, I'm kind of getting my comedy writing get part here, but you're a neuroscientist. What makes it funny? There's one part of the brain that's worth recognizing, and it's called the anterior cingulate. It's not on the surface. It's a little below, and it's what we consider our conflict detector. Anytime we're confused or overwhelmed, or just we have conflicting information, like in the form of a surprising punchline, this area gets very active. Why is conflict important in a joke? It's basically how we process things we don't understand. I mean, so much of our life is filled with conflict and not just jokes. I mean, people laugh at funerals, people laugh at tragic events, and each, because these are time when we just don't know how else to respond. I mean, humor is much rather than just a stand-up routine. It's just how we look at these moments in life where things don't make sense. So, laughter is covering, bonding, listening, anxiety, the sense of discovery, surprise, all these things. It is, and I think that's why it's so linked with health benefits as well. Now, humor hasn't always been looked upon so positively. You're right that Plato and Jesus weren't funny. No, I mean it's really a shame. Historically, humor has not gotten a good rap. Someone actually counted the number of times that laughter occurred. In the Old Testament, the total number is 29, and those only two are positive. In other words, only two are occasions of joy. Well, there's debates now whether Jesus loved not just in the New Testament but in his whole life, and of course little Bob's Nietzsche. The scholars all have very negative views towards humor cause they saw it as something that weak men did. It's not something that serious people do. Do you think men and women tell jokes differently? They do. It turns out that women laugh more than men, but they're much less successful in the world of comedy, or at least there are fewer professional female comedians, which is it's a shame. And people have wondered why is this? Because it's certainly not that women have less of a sense of humor. And one evolutionary theory is that the men are raised and maybe even have an evolutionary benefit to being the funny people in relationships. We men make women laugh because it's a sign of genetic fitness. A man who can make his partner laugh is more likely to be intelligent and a good caregiver. And that's also why women consistently rate sense of humor as number one desire trait in a mate. For men, sometimes it's closer to number three after intelligence and good looks. So, women maybe aren't given the benefits and the encouragement to be as funny as they could and should be. You won't leave us with one last joke. Oh my, okay, I have had bad success with this in the past, but I will give it a try. Two fish are swimming in a tank, and one looks to the other and he says, "Do you know how to drive this thing?" Scott Williams is a cognitive neuroscientist and the author of The Science of When We Laugh and Why. He joined us from Little Rock, Arkansas. Thank you for joining us. Thank you very much for having me. And you are listening and maybe laughing to Weekend Edition from NVR News. Part to complete this text. Dad, Dad, Dad. What? What? The movie is over. It's late. Throw the best part. Uh, uh. I must have doses of during the last few minutes. Right. You were gone for so long. You should have brought your pillow and blanket. So, what did you think about it? Well, overall, I'm a little disappointed with the movie. I mean, the story was a little bizarre, you have to admit. I mean, really, how believable is a plot about a captain who navigates his spaceship to the far reaches of the galaxy and encounters a race of frog people. I mean, come on. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, you have to admit that the special effects were awesome and the acting wasn't bad either. Come on, what about the ship's communication officer? I mean, what did you think about him? Mm, well, wasn't he a little weird to you? He was always talking to himself, and he had that funny hairdo. Well, he was a little unusual. Yeah, but the ship's doctor was amazing. It was so cool when he brought the captain back to life during one of the battles. That was pretty realistic. But then the rest of the movie just went from bad to worse. And the photography was so fake. How do you know? You were snoring so loud the neighbors probably has to close their windows. It was that bad. Well, let's go to bed. Part 3. Complete this text. It was on a dreary night of November that I beheld the accomplishment of my toils with an anxiety that almost amounted to agony. I cooled the instruments of life around me, that I might infuse a spark or being into the lifeless thing that lay at my feet. It was already 1 in the morning. The rain pattered dismally against the panes, and my candle was nearly burned out when, by the glimmer of the half extinguisher light, I saw the dull yellow eye of the creature oven. It breathed hard, and a convulsive motion agitated its limbs. How can I describe my emotion at this catastrophe, or how delineate the wretch whom, with shock, infinite pains and care, I had endeavored to form? His limbs were in proportion, and I had selected his features as beautiful, great God. His yellow skin scarcely covered the work of muscles and arteries beneath. His hair was of a lustrous black and flowing, his teeth of a fairly whiteness, but these luxuriances only form a more horrid contrast with his watery eyes that seemed almost of the same color as the dan white shockage in which they were set. His shriveled complexion and strained black lips, the different accidents of life are not so changeable as the feelings of human nature. I had worked hard for nearly 2 years for the sole purpose of infusing life into an inanimate body. For this I had deprived myself of rest and health. I had desired it with an ardor that far exceeded moderation. But now that I had finished, the beauty of the dream vanished, and breathless horror and disgust filled my heart.